Hi everyone, I'm Shira and I'm here with Lee, Kim, and Juji. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. What's the first word that comes to mind when thinking of Valentine's Day? Love, of course. Love. That incredibly charged word that means so many things to so many people. But what is it exactly? Sometimes in order to know what something is, it helps to know what it isn't. Today we'll be tackling this topic from both angles. So my loves, what does love mean to you?
I'll go first. Two words come to mind. Two words come to mind when I think of love. And I've been giving this a lot of thought this week because it's not the easiest question, actually. You really need to think about it. So the two words that come to mind for me are ease and consistency. Ease, feeling very free of any type of doubt or worry or insecurity, just not your head not being filled with all these things, just easy, flowing, natural, enjoyable, and then the other word, consistency, is huge, which we have to do an episode about consistency, and we will.
Oh, yes.
But when I think of consistency, if a man, my husband or anybody, did something for me, gave me a compliment or, bought me a gift, that's wonderful and that's really nice. And that's not really going to make me love him. But if he continues to do things over time that show me he loves me, it's the showing up, maybe not buying me something, but just the constant showing up of support and loving and kind words and doing things that, we need help with, or just any and everything when it comes to support and consistently helping and loving and showing me. And it's in there.
Mm.
Nice.
That's yummy, Kim.
For me, and not necessarily inside of a relationship. I don't think of Valentine. I don't think of love necessarily when I think of Valentine's Day. But yeah, you see all kinds of hearts and stuff. For me, love is more of an emotion that we feel, something positive and strong, and that creates a great emotion within us, and it can run the gamut of like someone smiling at you and making your day, philanthropy, helping someone out. It can be, it could be life's most simple things that can cause love or create or inspire love. And love also for me is selflessness, just being selfless around other people, and showing them whatever love is to you, whether it's, being there for them, being non-judgmental, being a good friend, being a good listener. All of that to me is love. And also just getting like hugs from people, to me, that's, I love hugs, and that to me is also love.
I want to give you one right now.
I'll take it. Let's have a group hug.
Virtual hugs. Oh, okay. It's interesting because when I think about love, and I'm literally just thinking about it right now, I think the word connection comes to mind for me, because I believe, and this is a little woohoo, but I do believe that the energy of love sort of connects all of us. That's what separates us from other, living things, and yes, you can love a flower and all of that, but the emotion and the flow and the energy and the connection that we feel for each other, it's kind of what makes the world go round. But there's this connection. That's what it is for me. And you can be connected to people, you can be connected to something that you love to do, whether it's art or music or drawing or cooking, or that can be a form of love. And it's also, obviously, what we talk about a lot is for ourselves, which is where it all starts. And so you guys know that a lot of what I talk about, and even in my book, is about connecting to yourself. And that connection is sometimes thwarted by external things and, you know, comparing ourselves and social media and self-doubt and you know, we're tired, the pandemic. There's just so many things that can like kill the love within us. But if we can find a way every day to sort of, you know, find the time to really focus on it, stay connected to ourselves and intentionally connect to other people through that energy, then that's what's going to evolve us as a species. I really do believe that if we have that dedicated focus and time to focus on that word, whatever it means to us, then we're moving ourselves in the right direction.
Beautiful.
Great, Shira. You know, it's funny because, you know, we're all home for the Thanksgiving break, and we had a Zoom call with a group of friends, and instead of going around and saying what we were grateful for, somebody asked, could we go around and say what love means to us, which is a little bit of where the idea for this episode came from, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I loved the answers that people were giving, but I think what they all had in common is the distinction that love is like not an exchange. It's not a give and a take. It's not having to prove anything to anyone. And it's not vain. Love is not something that you get because of what you do for the other. You know, I love that you said showing up, Kim, because it's that consistency of being in front of someone, you know, with very little expectation. Somebody responded when we were going around saying, love is surrender. Love is letting go. And I really love the idea, that actually love is something that comes naturally. It's when we force it that a lot of the times things go awry. And the reason why people perceive love to be painful is because there's something that somebody outside of us isn't giving us. And, you know, this channel is about self-love. It's about being able to give love to ourselves. And I truly believe that you can give so much more love when you have it for yourself. There's that age-old, like, you can't love someone else until you love yourself. And it's kind of like you can't pour from an empty cup. You know, if you don't have it for yourself, there's no way you can give it to someone else. And there's no way that somebody else loving you will ever replace you loving yourself. It's not an exchange on any level. It's just a flow. So one of the things that I sort of realized too is that, like, love takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to really truly get to know and love someone. They talk about love at first sight. I feel like that's lust. You know, you can love somebody's energy and be drawn to it and all of those things, and there's nothing wrong or bad about that. It's just like it takes a really long time to like deeply love and appreciate and know someone fully.
Gigi, I couldn't.
Depending on what you're talking about or the relationship itself, it doesn't need to take time. For example, the love of a mother for her children, they don't even have to be born, and you're already in love with this thing. So, you know, there are so many ways we could take this. The love for certain foods or a company or social settings, we can love that too. And I think what you were referring to is love in a relationship context.
Romantic, yeah.
Romantic.
Well, what's funny about that though, Lee, is that, you know, I'm starting to have after 37 years on this planet, a much deeper and more profound love for my mom that I never knew was there between the two of us. And, you know, the assumption is because I grew up with her, and because we talk all the time, that I like knew her as deeply as I could. And I'm starting to realize that even though all of those things are true, there's still more to know, and there's still more to appreciate, and there's still depth there that I haven't explored. And so, yeah, I mean, the same goes the other way around. You know, she gave birth to me, and the love that she has for me is now on such a deeper level because of, you know, letting the love flow between the two of us. So you're right. I mean, she immediately loved me, just like that's totally a given. But to like get to know the person that I've become and like love that on a totally different level is something that I so truly appreciate.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that it's not necessarily that it takes a long time to love somebody, but that it's an ever evolving process where all of a sudden you see something or somebody does something or an occurrence happens and you're just like looking at it from a different angle. Like I can look at my daughter when she was born versus now she's going to be 27 years old, and it's like all this life filled with experiences. And you know, you don't know your kid's personality when they're born. It's just like this ever evolving thing. And you know, you got to take the good with the bad. Obviously we all have it, but like when I see her talent and when I see her talking and when I see her sharing stories and I see a little bit of me and her personality, or people will say like, oh my God, you tell stories just like your mom. And I'm just like, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. So there's just another layer of like bursting love that comes out of me for her and for my son, and you know, just all of the family members. You know, there's just all take their own twists and turns.
Right. And that's a great point. You know, the evolution of love, you know, as from the time you are born until, and we're talking about parents and children, absolutely. And that can ebb and flow. But yeah.
You know, Juju, you said, you know, what isn't, when you were talking, and now that I'm older and I could look back on some of my romantic relationships when I was younger, I definitely did not love myself. So I was looking for love from the outside in. And some of the men, young boys I dated, or young men, they were not men in my eyes. They definitely, like, looking back, I can clearly see what love was not that I thought it was. You know, one person, I remember there was such intensity because he didn't love himself. So he needed so much from me and became very possessive. Looked at me like literally a possession. I was his, and I had to dress a certain way, and I had to speak to him a certain way, and I couldn't do certain things. And obviously that didn't last long. But, you know, I look at a situation like that, and then even other situations where, you know, I needed from them, you know, and just the unhealthy behaviors that I found myself doing because I was needing it so badly. And now that I'm, you know, fast forward, I've grown up and I've matured and I've learned what I want from a romantic relationship and what I don't want. But the biggest, you know, thing for me was finding love for myself. It wasn't until I was 36 and was literally in the midst of my self-love journey and learning, you know, practicing different things and really making that my full-time job, was loving myself, was when I met my husband. And that felt very, very easy, you know, and he it just was like, it was very foreign. It was the best thing I could say to describe it. It was nothing like I had ever experienced, because most of my life I dated very emotionally unavailable men. And then now here all of a sudden I'm doing all this work to love myself and taking a break from that. And then he comes into the picture, you know, and just Yeah, I could go on and on.
I just had a little
Yes.
bit of an aha moment. I just had a little bit of an aha moment while you were sharing, Kim, and that is, I have been because we've talked about this, I've been like a people pleaser, right? So obviously pleasing people is a form of love. But what just came to my mind, which is something I've been working on, is love is also discipline, and love is standards, and love is not enabling other people. So a lot of things that we associate with love, like the light and fluffy things, are all well and good. But when I think back on even my own parenting and things that I did in my marriage that were enabling, people pleasing, not living up to any standards, no boundaries, all of that also needs to be taken into consideration when we talk about the word love. And that's hard. It's hard for people pleasers to be like disciplinarians or, no, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a boundary here. It takes time, and I'm so learning, and I will continue to learn till the day I die about that. But it's such an important component of love.
Shira, when you say people pleasing, you said people pleasing is a form of love. Right away, I thought opposite, because I thought people
No.
is meaning-
Pleasing people is a form of love. When I say I'm a people pleaser, I'm talking about the negative form of it, like where you're to a fault, where it's like, I just want people to like me, and I will do the things to get people to like me, even if it's not good for me. So when I say people pleasing, I sort of put that in a category of like, that's not healthy. But the concept of pleasing people is a nice thing if you're doing it in a healthy way. If you're doing it in an unhealthy way, it's toxic.
Well, what's
So,
unhealthy is when you're compromising yourself, right? Like a lot of the time what we think a relationship is just a series of compromises so that like the two people in it, regardless of whether it's romantic or not, or somehow neither of them are fully satisfied or expressed in the exchange. And so, a lot of what we get taught about love is that like that's just what it is. Like how many romantic movies end with the woman having to forgive the man for something? Like look past all of his flaws, look past all of the stuff that he put her through because he finally realized that she was the one. Like, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer because I love a good rom-com for sure. But that's kind of like this expectation that gets put on this whole concept, and I just don't feel love needs to be painful or compromising. At least I don't feel like I want to be in a relationship or a situation, regardless of romantic or otherwise, where I need to stifle my authentic self and give up boundaries or autonomy for somebody else, because I don't have anything to prove to this other person, and they don't have anything to prove to me similarly. I don't expect other people to give up what they are comfortable with in order to please me, because in the end that ends up with so much resentment and bitterness and ickiness.
And people make mistakes in relationships all the time. And it's just like you said, compromise and talking, right? Talking is medicine, like healthy communication. I swear communication for me is like number one key to success in any relationship. And I've learned that with my husband, because I certainly didn't have it or express myself at all, because I was always so nervous to like lose the guy. I wanted him to like me. I wanted him to give me love. So I was never fully expressed, until my 30s. And then I started really slowly getting with it and like, no, wait, I have to express myself to love myself. So I have to tell him I'm not really, that behavior is not okay. And like that was hard for me. And I'm sure that's hard for a lot of people. But listen, I make mistakes. My husband makes mistakes. My family makes mistakes. My friends make mistakes. We all, and it's just a matter of really just communication, healthy communication.
Yeah. I think that's a huge part of it, because love is something I think that evolves constantly in our life. you know, depending on the situation, the environment, the relationship, and how the relationships evolve. Because, you know, like Juji, you said something about it shouldn't be pain, or, you know, you don't want it to be pain, and it shouldn't be. You know, it shouldn't be. And sometimes we feel the pain because maybe of our own expectations. So there is so much involved in trying to even define love, because we go through life and all we want is love, you know, and we don't always get it. We may not always give it in the way that we intend, but we all want it. We all need it. It's such a basic foundation of our needs.
I think it's really important to know what makes you feel loved also. And I think we've spoken about this book, The 5 Love Languages, but that was a major eye opener for me, that you tend to find somebody who's not necessarily speaking the same language as you. And there are 5 in the book. And so in a lot of relationships, like this person's speaking Chinese, this person's speaking Greek, and never the twain shall meet. But when you start to realize that, oh, I have to learn that other person's language, it's a little foreign to me, because I feel loved when we're watching a football game, but you feel loved when I tell you you're beautiful. So I'll do a little bit of more language, your language, and you'll speak a little bit more of mine. And then you're starting to compromise and get somewhere. But that book really, really helped me. So I'm just sort of plugging it. And there's versions of it. There's romantic 5 love languages. There's parent to child love language. There's love language in the workplace. It's like, it's a really interesting concept, and I highly recommend it.
I love that book as well, Shira, and it helped me a lot as well. And I think in order to get that out and figure out your love language is also key, is communication. To talk to your spouse or partner about love languages, to actually figure it out and discover, oh, this is what I'm expecting, actually. This is what I like. This is what you can do more of, or less of, or or what,
and we
what
tend to give love. We tend to give love the way we want to receive love. So then when we're not getting it, we're just like, what's the problem? Can't you understand? And it's like, no.
We brought up expectations before, and the word conditions popped in my head, because I've been, you know, in preparation for this call today, I was thinking a lot about love, and just, it made me look at, well, what conditions, because I know unconditional love is seriously just, I don't think it's possible, unfortunately, in the human race. I mean, maybe it is with like the Buddha or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. And I was thinking about all the conditions that I have from Mike, my husband. And I had, you know, because I was open to seeing them, I saw them, and they made me like a little sad, because I was like, I want to be able to say I don't have condition, like our love is unconditional, but it's really not. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have one huge condition, and that's that, like, if you know, you want to be treated well and you want to be respected and like all those things. So there's conditions, period, you know, but I just feel like just being able to ask yourself that question of what love means to you, and like look at your relationships from the outside in, and just look at like in what ways you compromise with each other. What are your conditions? Are they reasonable? Like just being aware, you know?
Yeah, like everything else.
My beautiful loves, before we wrap, I did also want to let our audience know about an amazing essay written by Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park and wrote a whole bunch of movies and some cool stuff. But he also wrote an essay about love, which rocked me to my core, because it's talking about everything that we just discussed, what love is, what love isn't. And it's so beautifully written. So we're going to include that in the notes below on the channel. So, so sorry. So if you love our conversations, please click like and subscribe to our channel, tell a friend, spread the word, and please also let us know if you have any comments or questions, or if there's a topic you'd like to see us cover. We'll see you all soon. We love you, and stay safe and healthy.